Talking music time with me, Chris Benson, looking at this. Robert Palmer live at the Apollo. So this has been reissued in 2025. 62 minutes in duration, 17 tracks. It's a very fast-paced album, very fast-paced. So more about the context of it. It's a live album by, of course, Robert Palmer, which was originally released by Eagle Records in 2001. Now, the live performance dates back to the Apollo Theatre in Harlem, in New York, on the final date of their presumably Heavy Nova tour, 15th of December 1988. So it was a very energetic gig. They were excited because it was the end of the tour. And there's some great sleeve notes inside, actually, which I'll just show you like this. So there's the booklet that you get. There you go. With the notes, presumably done for the original album released by Robert Palmer, Christmas 2000. But they're really interesting notes, and you get to see pictures of the band members as well. So, and the original Heavy Nova tour dates. So, great bit of history there. And I love the pictures from the Heavy Nova era on the back. Let's just show you the disc though. So we've done the inside. So there you go. That's the disc there. So like for like, on the disc, you're getting what we got back in 2001. So we start off with Some Like It Hot. Starting with this classic from the Power Station. Of course, there's rumours suggesting we might get a 40th anniversary reissue of the Power Station's first album in 2025. Will that happen? It'd be great if it did. We got a 20th anniversary reissue, so maybe we will. Anyway, this album really does go fast, like I've said. And I think it's because tracks like Some Like It Hot are played faster, a faster tempo than the versions that we're used to hearing on CDs and the albums on the radio, but still a great version to open the album up. We then got Hyperactive. So it's another one that I think is played faster than the album, I think so. But this is from Riptide originally. We then got Discipline of Love, another track from Riptide. Now, Discipline of Love was released as a single in the UK when Riptide was released. Only got to number 95, can you believe that? We were then moving to kind of the Heavy Nova tracks on the album. Tell Me I'm Not Dreaming from Heavy Nova. Now, I learned something when I was doing the research for this. This was a cover from a Jermaine Jackson track, which also featured Michael Jackson. I didn't know that. I'm going to have to check out that version. But that song was released in 1984. Anyway, I do like Robert Palmer's Heavy Nova version, and this is a great live version too. We then go back to Riptide for track 5, I Didn't Mean to Turn You On. It was the debut single for American singer Cherelle, and originally written by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis in 1984, before Robert Palmer covered it, and arguably perhaps made it more successful, I'd say. Looking for Clues, track 6 from the 1980 album Clues. Another track that I'd say sounds faster than the studio version, but I've seen Robert Palmer perform this on YouTube on a UK TV show called The Tube back in the early 80s. And on there, he performs it just as fast as this version. And the faster tempo, I think, works really well. We then got track 7, Change His Ways. On to probably my favourite part of the album. There's some great tracks back to back. Starting off with this one, as I say, from Heavy Nova. Great vocals, really energetic. And a single of this reached number 28 in the UK. This is a great live version, though. We then got Pride from the 1983 album, Pride. Brilliant live version here. Another of my picks from this concert. The vocals and the harmonies sound amazing here. But the song just changes about a minute and a half in. It just explodes. We hear the calypso beat to go with it. It's great. I'd argue it sounds better than the album version. Let me know if you agree with that in the comments. Track 9, Woke Up Laughing. There's not much talking from Robert Palmer during this concert, but before Woke Up Laughing, he does introduce the band members one by one. Woke Up Laughing, of course, from Clues in 1980. Track 10, Johnny and Mary, one of my favourites off the album. Why? Well, because there's a bit in the middle where Robert Palmer sings, lyrics go something like this. She came in and changed my life. It's wonderful. And it's a bit of a different part of the song, certainly not on the album and certainly not on the bits that I found out there. Where is it from? What is it from somebody else's song? Again, one of you might know, but it's a brilliant bit that he does, I think, a couple of times. but I really like this version for that. Another track from Clues, and it's the earliest album, by the way, Clues, that we get tracks off during this concert. So we get tracks from kind of 1980 onwards. We then got Riptide, short track, of course, from the 1985 album Riptide. Track 12, Between Us, back to Heavy Nova for another track. I really need to give Heavy Nova another listen from start to finish. We then got Flesh Wound, a lively version of Flesh Wound from Riptide. I like it. There's great guitar on this, great backing vocals, and I'd say this song could easily work as a duet. Back to Heavy Nova for the next two tracks. More Than Ever, again, great guitar on this. And Simply Irresistible, another great live version. It's the fifth track from Heavy Nova so far on this album, and I'd say a slightly different pace in the middle to the album version to give it some variation as well, so it's worth a listen. Track 16, Casting a Spell, again sticking with Heavy Nova, but it was the most recent album at the time, and it makes sense for the emphasis to be on the new tracks. But interestingly, described in one interview I've read online, someone said to Robert Palmer, "This is Amazonian grunge." Let me know if you agree or disagree. But Robert, in an interview, says he was working with Dom Romao, and he took it upon himself, Dom, to take the song over. And after the work on the track, he started with this chant, which you hear at the beginning, and you hear on this live version as well. In fact, Robert does a chant during this live version. Robert says in the interview that he hadn't seen his girlfriend for a while, and when Dom started singing this chant, Robert asked Dom's manager, "What is he singing?" And the guy translated, "Your girlfriend Maria is missing you and she wants you to call her." And Robert Palmer says, and sure enough, I got on the phone and she did. So there you go. I love that story that went with it. Track 17, Addicted to Love. So we go back to Riptide for the final track, and there's a great bit in the middle where Palmer switches from Addicted to Love to Roll Over Beethoven, which was totally unexpected, but absolutely brilliant. The only kind of, I'd say, flaw in the CD, and it will have been there on the original as well, is the pauses in between the tracks. They're not as smooth as perhaps other live CDs that I've heard on other concerts, but this is a reissue. We're getting here exactly the same product as we did back in 2001, and it's the only 1988 Robert Palmer concert I can find, and I've seen plenty on YouTube, and this is the only 1988 one so far I can find. So it's a great snapshot of where Robert Palmer was up to in his career as well. So there you go, live at the Apollo, brilliant release. I would love to see reissues of Heavy Nova, Don't Explain, Riding High, Honey. There's been the Island Records years box set for the early years of his career. We've had these towards the end of his career. It seems to be the middle part that we're waiting on reissues. So come on, somebody get them out there. We'd love to see them. I'm sure at some point we will get them. But anyway, that's it from me. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll be back with more very soon. Bye-bye.